the back of the closet is a great place to store food because it's cool, it's dark, it's usually pretty well regulated temperature-wise, and so the back of your closet is a great place to do it. Or on the tops of hallway closets, like the cloak closet in your house, there's usually a space up there that can be reshelved. Put an extra shelf in and you can store things up there as well. And if it's not something to be self-evident, you can put a little curtain around it so that it's not immediately, you open the closet and everybody goes, well, why do you have 47, having a week or so's worth of the food that you eat? The church recommends next having a 3-month supply of food. Grains, wheats, legumes, which are beans to the rest of us. Every time they say that, I'm like, what's a legume? Oh, it's a bean. And having those kinds of things stored for a 3-month supply. So the recommendation is to first to get together a week's supply of food, which would be your emergency supply of food, as it were, and then a 3-month supply of food. And that includes, like I said, the rice, the wheat, and those kind of things. There are a lot of people who have absolutely no idea how to cook with wheat. They said, you know, in fact, I have a lesson that's called, I have 500 pounds of wheat, now what? They have no idea what to do with wheat. My family, and there's a lot of people, if you've never had wheat before, there are people who are allergic to it. It would be a very bad time to find out that you're allergic to wheat when you have to rely on that as your food source. So you need to eat some of it and learn to cook with it in advance. In my family, we found out that Brother Brigham's baked bean wheat, what was the name of that?
Brother Brigham's Boston baked wheat.
Don't eat that. I don't know if Brother Brigham liked it, but it certainly didn't go over very well at our house. But we've had other wheat things that we've used, cracked and ground, and other types of applications for that our family really likes. And I'm going to allow my wife to talk a little bit about some of those applications. So you want to get together a 3-month supply of food. And then after you've gotten that, then you need to work on just kind of making that supply greater. On my website, on providentliving.org, and on several places you can find all over the internet, there are calculators to find out how much food you should store for how many people and those kind of things. And those are good places to start for what you want to, how you want to, what a recommendation for storage is. And I'm going to allow my wife to talk to you a little bit about how we modified that and kind of augmented that in a way that makes far more sense to me. Let me tell you how I came to think about this, and then I'll turn the time over to her. I was reading on one of the online sites I read, and they talk about, we're talking about the pandemic flu. And when the flu comes, how to sequester yourself, how to quarantine yourself so that as not to have human contact. But also that you don't want to shut off the rest of the world from, you still want to be able to provide charity to others. This website is big on getting food storage, but not to the exclusion of all others. You should have, like he says, I don't have a year's supply for my family, I have 6 months supply for our 2 families. And so to be able to provide charity. So I went to my wife and I said, I want a means of being able to give somebody some food that we can kind of packagize. It's the best way I can think of it. My thought was, well, we take a Ziploc bag, we'll put like 2 cups of rice in, a couple of bouillon cubes. I used to love rice and bouillon cubes. Some chicken TVP and maybe some dehydrated peas. Roll that up, duct tape it, so it's nice and sealed, and right on there, add 4 cups of water and boil. And that's not a great meal, but that would be a nice way if somebody says, I'm really hungry, could you feed me? I could give them that. I could probably even give them the food. I could probably even give them something to cook it in, and say, here you go, here's a meal for you. You can take this, and this would be a meal of substance, probably for 4 people. And so I said, let's do this. Let's come up with this. I want to be able to have this to give away as charity. And when I presented that to her, about the same time, call it fate, call it what you will, I found a website called 365 Meals, where a woman had taken the concept that she'd learned in Relief Society of making meals in a jar and making 365 of them, so that she had a meal for her family for every day. And we kind of put that together with what I wanted to do, and then we came up with this 365 meal concept that my wife and several others really kind of put into to practice, that I think is a great way of doing food storage and having a really good idea. I have 300 pounds of wheat. Is that enough? I don't know. How long is that going to work? I don't know. What can I make with that? I can make some bread. I'm making Brother Brigham's Boston baked wheat, what we can't stand. But other than that, I'm not really sure. So I turned that aspect of our food storage. I came up with a grand idea, and my wife implemented it. So I want to let her talk to you about that and about what she found.
First of all, he gave me a Ziploc with rice and dried peas in it. I'm gonna hand it back. That was disgusting. And I told him, I was like, ew, we don't want these people to kill us. We want them to go away. So I had, as you know, most everybody has, done the little, this is minestrone soup mix. And on the side it says, place water in a stock pot and add this mix and reserve the pasta. It's got all the spices, all the beans, all the noodles, all the everything, except it doesn't have meat in it. And you add it with, oh, how much water do you add? It says bring to a soup to a boil, so it doesn't even say how much to add. So I went, wow, I could do it like this. Wait a second, but this is glass. I live in California. I have meals. I have breakable meals. Great, I now have a soup full of broken glass. So I went to my trusty local LDS.org, and they sell Mylar bags. This is actually a half a bag. The bags are actually wider. We split them in half. We sealed the side of them. We did this same thing, the same soup in a jar. These are the little gift jars that everybody hands out at Christmas time. I have it in, I went and picked up several books. I originally thought 365 of these. That's what we were going to make. We got to 178, which is about half. And went, we need to see. Now what I did is I went through and I went, I didn't get right to the right place. Black bean chili mix. Sounds good. So I'll make 12 of them. That means I only have to have it once a month. I picked 30 recipes, did 12 of them. About halfway through the third one I went, this looks like a lot. Looks like a whole lot. And I was just going off their recipes. Still looks like a whole lot. This is one recipe's worth. That looks like a lot. I have a family of 6. We're not giant eaters, but we're not, you know, little tiny bird eaters. And this was starting to look like a lot of food. So we stopped about halfway through and went, we're going to make one. This makes not one meal, this makes 2 hearty meals. We fed our family of 6 dinner and lunch the next day. But you go through these recipes, they're already made, they're already finished, they're already done. They tell you to layer them sweetly so all the little green peas are together and all the little apricots and get everything in its little place, and then you put the little spice pack on top. And I dumped it in a big giant bowl. Because I'm never going to see it. It's not a prize. It's 3, this is 3 of the paper cases, like you get for office paper. I have 3 of those underneath one of my kids' beds. That's all the bigger it is. And I filled up 3 of them. I have 178 packets, which is actually twice that in meals.